Welcome back to the program, everybody. I am excited to have my friend Chris Thom on today. Chris is a legend, I think, in the wealth management space. Most recently, well, he's currently the EVP of Strategy and Partnerships at Sequoia. Prior to joining Sequoia, he was at RWA, spent some time at Edelman, Schwab, USAA. Chris, long and illustrious career, starting out as an advisor. One of your more recent roles, you led wealth planning at Edelman, had over 150 advisors on your team. So you've been in the trenches, you know the space inside and out, understand the challenges of growth. Quite a background. Tell us a little bit more. What have I missed?
Well, Dan, thanks so much. It's great to be here. I think you covered it pretty well. Maybe one other nugget is that I grew up as an Army dependent, living around the country and even in Europe. And so one of the things that I've always been wired for is processing change, meeting people, figuring out how to be successful in sometimes less than ideal situations. And so it just kind of came with the territory. So those values have really permeated my career and something I've always been really, really grateful for. As you mentioned, when I began in this industry, it was actually on the risk management side of the business. And I ultimately became a certified financial planner and advisor. And it was early on at USAA when I realized that the only way to really change how we were doing things is to join leadership. I actually applied for a management role. And that really began what's become about 17 years in various senior leadership roles.
Awesome. I love that background, by the way. Your time with you folks in the Army, I suspect that's what led to that strategy approach to how you're dealing in different situations and figuring out how to sort of acclimatize to your surroundings. So love that and appreciate the service, by the way. So tell us a little bit more about your role at Sequoia. You're again, the EVP of Strategy and Partnerships. Tell us about your focus, your objectives on the strategy side, and maybe specifically related to growth.
Absolutely. Well, when I joined Sequoia, I really had three primary focuses in mind. Number one, it was to lead our marketing function. We had outsourced the marketing function, and it was really time to bring that entire capability in-house. And so that was one of my first priorities. Number two is that I'm responsible for our custodian referral programs and building them out. Then last but not least, I have the privilege of leading what we call accounting referral programs. And Sequoia's had a long history with working with accounting firms. And so I have the privilege of really making sure that we keep those B2B partnerships running well and being able to exchange referrals with accountants.
Love that. Tell us a little bit more about the accounting referral program. We obviously do some great work together, and we're starting to see more firms trying to tap into whether it's accounting or other professional COIs, legal notwithstanding. Would love to hear a little bit more about that, how that came about, and how that's looking today.
Absolutely. Well, Sequoia has historically worked with a local accounting firm here in Northeast Ohio called Cohen & Company. That relationship spans nearly 3 decades, and there's really been just an extensive amount of trust, but also understanding of the accounting profession that's been really beneficial to Sequoia long term. And so where this really came into a new endeavor in 2024 was Sequoia acquired a firm called Eide Bailly Wealth. And it was the wealth unit associated with the nation's number 17 ranked accounting firm called Eide Bailly, headquartered in Fargo, North Dakota. And so the real opportunity for Sequoia was to take the partnership really to a new level because of Eide Bailly's size and 50 offices across the country, most of them west of the Mississippi. It gave us the opportunity to actually start hiring Sequoia advisors and having them actually co-locate and actually office inside of the Eide Bailly offices. So it really opens up a transformational growth opportunity. We'll talk a little bit more about this later today, but I would say first and foremost, it really comes down to relationships, Dan. And so it's not just having the ability to earn a referral, it's how do we move through the know you, like you, trust you phase with accountants, really be able to understand their process, how they serve clients, and then really receive the benefit of being able to earn introductions from them of their trusted clients. And so it's really been a lot of fun. We've had a chance to do this for nearly a year now with Eide Bailly, and it's really been terrifically successful just in its early stages.
This business is about trusted relationships, and between the advisor and their client. Really interesting to see and hear about that strategy of hiring advisors and co-locating them in the Eide Bailly branches, where they have an opportunity to build those relationships with the accountants, with those teams. Make sure they understand more about Sequoia, make sure they understand more about what that individual advisor is capable of doing, challenges they may be able to take on from the accounting side, and really accelerate on the wealth side. So super interesting stuff. Is that something that you put in place when you got there and started to build that relationship?
It was. We had the tremendous benefit of there was an existing Eide Bailly wealth team that came aboard and became Sequoia. And so they definitely knew the ropes and knew how to make some initial contacts within the organization. But one of the things that Sequoia brought to the table was the scale and the ability to really deliver a full wealth management firm, all the way, from being able to service our traditional wealth clients all the way to what we call Sequoia Sentinel, which is our family office, which serves families at $20 million and north.
Mm-hmm.
We really brought this full capability to the table. And so now it was a matter of how can we augment and support what that team had already been doing by bringing more hires, bringing more wealth advisors specifically to these locations to be able to be on site. As you can imagine, it's one thing to try to ask for an introduction or a referral over the telephone or over WebEx. It's another thing to be in that office and to get to know the accountants and host lunch and learn sessions, get to know them, share CPE content, exchange ideas, talk about our processes and how we work, and really be able to be better partners together. So yes, I was able to be there from day one of the Eide Bailly Wealth team coming on board to Sequoia. And thankfully, we've had numerous additional folks be able to join the team to help support that effort. And it's become something that's quite substantial today, and we're expecting it to be a really key growth driver for the firm going forward.
Good for you. Operational referrals at scale.
That's right.
Within that ecosystem, and again, really built on relationships. So let's go a little deeper on referrals as we're on that subject. You talked about custodial referrals. Tell us a little bit about how you seek to maximize conversions. So whether it's a lead coming in from an accounting partner, or a lead coming in from a custodian. I happen to know the custodian referrals are pretty meaningful for lots and lots of firms. Talk to us a little bit about how you seek to maximize conversions on those referrals coming in.
I break it down into really three primary ways that we focus on being able to maximize conversions. Number one, it's that you have to build and offer a compelling value proposition to clients. I think that's probably easily understandable to anyone who's in the space today. In our case, we've got that tremendous benefit of having an opportunity to serve clients all up and down the spectrum of complexity, from traditional wealth clients to the Sequoia Sentinel family office. I think the other piece is we really scaled up quite a bit and got a absolute fantastic investment research team that came out of a family office acquisition several years ago. And so currently our chief investment officer, Nick Zamparelli, has got a team of 20 plus investment professionals that are really able to focus in a number of areas, whether it be real estate, private equity, you name it, from building strategies and models that our advisors can use to really being able to provide investment strategies for the highest of net worth clients. So very thankful for that investment platform that we call Sequoia Investment Research, but also being able to offer some real nuances in our industry, specifically special needs planning, being able to dig deep with tax preparation and estate planning. And then last but not least, resource groups. We've actually identified within Sequoia, we have a number of groupings of clients, medical professionals, corporate executives, business owners that we really cater to. And we have specialized guidance on how we're able to serve them. So having that strong value proposition, number one. Number two, it's all about process and having that disciplined wealth management process to be able to convey that value quickly. I think that's especially true in the custodian referral channels, being able to share the story, share it very quickly with that local or that custodian's advisor, financial consultant, as well as the client, be able to demonstrate what it is that makes us unique in the marketplace. And I think number three, what really stands out, and I think it's very apropos for our discussion today, Dan, is a certain predictive analytical tool that you may know a little bit about. But in all seriousness, we're expecting that Catchlight will help improve our funnel conversion and efficiency. And we think there are a number of factors that are going to come into play to help us on that end of things too.
I appreciate the plug, Chris, and looking forward to seeing some great results there. But maybe we could just for a second go back to number two. You talked about process. Maybe could you share a little bit more about that process? But lead comes in. What does that process look like? We don't have to get deep into the specifics, but sort of high level. What does it look like, and how do you think about when that lead comes in? Especially given where it came from. How do you maximize that conversion?
Sure. Well, I think first and foremost, it's just speed to response. And when those leads come in early in the morning, being able to have a team member is what we call our employees here at Sequoia, but getting that team member to initially reach out and acknowledge that lead has been received and get it to an advisor. We have a model that leverages geography. So we use kind of a territory assignment to make sure that we get that lead to the right business development professional to be able to begin contact with that relationship. Once we get the time scheduled, then it's very much about trying to perform discovery, getting to know that client, understand their current situations, goals, feelings, family, business dynamics, get to understand that quickly, and then be able to move towards being able to make a proposal. Would be our step two. Ultimately, we would hope that we could develop that relationship. That client decides to come on board, says yes, and then we're able to then go into the next phases. But part of our relationship is the delivery of a financial plan, deliver of a proposal of investment recommendations, and it's something that we really take quite seriously here. We like the planning aspect first, and really spend a lot of time to make sure that we've had a chance to understand the client's full financial picture, and then be able to align services that we have internally, whether it be tax, estate planning, risk management, insurance planning, in addition to investment management.
And perhaps that analytical tool that you mentioned before helps paint the picture of who that person is and perhaps what needs they have. So love that. Let's switch gears. I think referrals obviously massive, and it sounds like it's a deep dive over the last 12, 24 months, and have a glimpse into the future of what that's going to look like. So excited to see how that develops. But outside referral programs, chat with us a little bit about other activities happening within the marketing function at Sequoia.
In addition to both the custodian referral programs and the accounting referral programs, and certainly being able to support advisors through growing their practices through their advisor-directed networks, the marketing team is really, especially as we've been building it in-house over the last year and some change, one of the premier functions has been how do we help to start supporting our advisors through campaigns. Certainly, Catchlight is going to be a massive part of that going forward. We had a chance to recently go through an analysis of our existing clients to be able to understand not only wallet share opportunities, but being able to understand just what are the demographics underneath. So as we have those insights about our clients, and we're now a nationwide firm, we've got over 30 offices now, started in Akron, and also in Florida, and now we've stretched even further westward. Well, now we need every tool we can possibly get to better understand the types of clients that are onboarding, that are coming to us through these referral program channels. And so, what an amazing time to use a tool like Catchlight to be able to do that. So as we start to understand these initial layers, and we're going through and breaking down the dynamics, one of the things that we anticipate doing a lot more of is customized advisor events by location, really understanding who are we trying to hone in on. You can get quite specific the detail that you're hunting for within the tool. And so we're just in the kind of beginning phases of being able to understand that and work through that. But it'll be a marketing-led initiative for us. So this will reside in our chief marketing officer's area of responsibility, and but certainly with direct impact to our advisor teams as well.
Awesome. We've talked about share wallet expansion as a function or a component rather of organic growth. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you're doing at Sequoia on wallet share expansion?
Fundamentally, what an amazing opportunity to be able to see what does predictive analytics look like for what clients have with us today versus what they may have externally. And so I think where our strategic focus now is really positioned around how do we do this in a way that really leverages technology in a way to support advisor relationships with their clients, but doesn't get in the way or doesn't come across somehow as big brother-ish. And so how do we leverage these insights to be able to really develop? If we saw that a particular client family had substantial assets outside of our management, what's the best way to support that? And so actually this is a current conversation we're having right now, Dan, where we're actually evaluating the notion of how marketing might be able to support with a campaign over top, but also to provide some advisor specific training on how to understand, have these insights, but bring that to a conversation that comes across with credibility, but doesn't have the feeling of maybe too much focus on, I know more than I'm letting on. So being able to really paint the picture of, sharing the benefits of asset consolidation at one place for from a fee schedule breakpoint standpoint, or from the benefits of managing the aggregate asset allocation. There are a number of ways that you can do that effectively, but it's got to be something that the advisors hear from us and understand in a way that is helpful and comes across fluidly to the client who's hearing that type of conversation. So I think that this is something that we're heavily involved with right now in planning for Q4 and certainly moving into Q1. But it was pointed out to us pretty dramatically that we've got significant opportunities to expand client relationships. And I will tell you, there were quite a few surprises. And so we're looking forward to taking those insights and then being able to translate it into a way that could be a meaningful conversation with a client who might trust us with several $100,000, but might have significantly more than that to invest. And how can we become their primary trusted advisor? So that is kind of a quick snapshot of where we are today. A lot to learn. I would say that in times past, we did an excellent job of being able to look at a client's overall balance sheet. We have a heavy planning focus here at Sequoia. So lots of financial planning has happened over the years, and we might know that assets could reside externally. For instance, they could be in a 401k plan. We just don't have access to them yet. So we've had some preliminary knowledge, but being able to have this extra data point on top of all of our existing planning intel has just been fabulous, just to take it even a step further.
Thank you for that. And I want to take this a little bit full circle. So we talked about share wallet. We talked about custom curated events based on if it's a client event, if it's a prospect event, what they may be into. Wine, a good example. Having now created that strategy at Sequoia, leveraging that data to improve the connections, improve the conversations that are happening in those events. But having been that advisor a number of years ago, I wonder if you could just maybe connect those dots. I mean, how does it feel for an advisor today compared to where you were a few years ago to have access to this data, to have a marketing team that's putting together events like this, to have this insight into who that prospect is, to have deeper insight into a wallet expansion opportunity? Love to hear that contrast. Bridge those two for me.
It's absolutely revolutionary. And even if I go back 10 years ago, I remember hosting Michael Kitces, who came and spoke at one of our firm events at that time. And one of the things that he talked about was, don't call a client to schedule time to talk with them in the future about something else that you're not sure of yet. Call the client on purpose. Have have the intel, have the topic in mind, call with a proactive sense of adding value for that client. And so he was, of course, at that time hinting at what was yet to come very, very quickly in terms of what AI might do or predictive analytics might do. And now we see that. And from the standpoint of being able to see a profile through Catchlight, the profile comes through. Now you've got a pretty full scan of many of the things that are going on for that client scenario, in addition to the financial consultant's notes about what the client or the prospect might want to discuss. It's just absolutely groundbreaking when you have a chance to evaluate the fact that now that you know where they've gone to school, you know if they're a parent, maybe even a grandparent, you might have spouse's name. You've got predictive analytics on investable net worth. You've got access to, if I didn't already say this, alma mater. So you might know a little bit about bird watching, or if they're a wine connoisseur, you name it. So just the amount of information is quite overwhelming, but at the same time, it's so helpful now because, especially in a leadership perspective, when we can now even consider the idea of how would we match a prospective client with one of our advisors based on what we know about the strengths of each advisor, that's really taking it to a new level. We haven't been able to consider that. As far as I'm aware, even more than 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't even a possibility. So very thankful to be in this day and age. I think now it will come down to how do we leverage technology in a way to still demonstrate trust. There's still things that, Dan, even as you and I got to know each other some time ago, there's still the getting a chance to meet, talk, get to know one another. And, you may know more than you're letting on. I may know more than I'm letting on, but there's still a natural way that conversation needs to take place. And so I think that's the real skill set, which will be, how are advisors able to do that effectively? And this is not necessarily related to growth, but certainly related to scale. We have had the privilege at Sequoia of using an AI note taker over this last year. And I think about just the levels of scale that's provided for our team, where in times past, we might have spent, good chunk of time being able to research a prospective client or, look into their situation, spend a lot of time doing that. In addition to, being able to see the notes that are already there, maybe notes that I've left before, and now getting caught up and preparing for a meeting. Now I get the opportunity to really focus in on that client conversation as an advisor. And I know that the note taker is going to be able to capture, summarize the key takeaways of that client meeting, and actually it reduces my time, not only in preparation, but also in follow-up and maybe even setting the agenda for the next meeting. So I think these advances in technology have been so substantial just in the last couple of years that I think for an advisor today, the thought of being able to serve a book of clients, and maybe practice sizes could even go up as a result. But that certainly is a possibility today, where in times past, you really felt constrained. I couldn't imagine serving more than X number of clients because it just takes so much time to prepare for the meeting, conduct the meeting, do the follow-up and implementation. And now we have technology as a guide.
Yeah, some of that office technology is really it's really incredible in terms of the weight it takes off the advisor and the time it gives back for better servicing existing and the capacity to take on new. And I know leadership loves the fact that they can do that and have better margins on a per advisor level. So it makes a lot of sense. Let's transition to a second and last topic here. You mentioned Sentinel, the Sequoia family office business. We talked to lots of family offices. I met with a firm just yesterday. Curious to have you share a little bit about the marketing initiatives that you're employing to help grow that part of the business.
We're actually executing a number of different strategies right now with our family office. Just for context, our family office is roughly a third of our overall firm's AUM. So it's quite substantial, just you're right at $10 billion today. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves at Sequoia, and specifically inside the Sentinel business, is our advisors have a client ratio of roughly 10 to 13 to 1. So it's a very It's a very tight level of responsibility. We really want to make sure that these clients that are trusting us with $20 million or more really get a very custom experience within that family office. And so who we welcome in is very, very important. We've seen astronomical growth in the accounting referral program channels for Sentinel. That's absolutely been a big story. We've also had quite a bit of family office experience. And so we have professionals, G. Smith, who leads our family office. He's been involved in this business for just a number of years, came to Sequoia by way of acquisition and just continued to build out these family office capabilities. So one of the things that G and I have partnered on just internally is even how to do focused ad campaigns, really drilling into specific geographic markets. And so we picked a particular market that he was very interested in. And we've been using a number of ads to really hone in and really try to use some terminology and how we frame our family office that G thinks that from his perspective would really resonate with high net worth and ultra high net worth clients. When it comes to marine or aviation, there are really specific interests these types of clients have. And so we're trying to hone in on that. So I would say very early on, those are a couple of ways that we're looking to do that. And then, of course, Catchlight will be a huge help for us as well with this client base and really understanding where else they might have assets and just how to help them better manage what are typically quite large overall net worths. So those are a couple of ways that we're really leveraging marketing to be able to help support the team.
Sounds like you're leveraging what you know about the clients and the prospects to personalize that outreach that's more in tune with where they may be in life. So love that. So Chris, we're up towards the end here, and so I'm gonna give you my last question here. And so I know you've been at Sequoia. Let's assume you're at Sequoia 5 years ago, and you're in your current role. If you knew then what you know now, what advice would you give yourself when thinking about organic growth?
Well, Dan, you've made me think retrospectively now, and I will tell you, I really am so thankful for the experiences I've gained over what's now 25 years in this incredible industry. It really is just that. There's so much to learn about building durable growth channels, and obviously incredibly honored to be part of the team here at Sequoia. I think the advice I give myself about growth is that it's just imperative to go deep on the true core competencies of the firm without having FOMO about the latest and greatest. Sometimes the latest and greatest might be wonderful, but really sticking to what we're good at and digging deep, having a niche and just continuing to build it out. Obviously for us, that's been a really strong affinity for working with custodians and working with accounting firms. That's what we do really well. And so continuing to drill down on that, I think from our perspective, we're just going to relentlessly pursue, just keep searching for other firms that might want to become part of the Sequoia team, but looking for talent that's both in that accounting and that wealth space that's got the culture that we're really trying to drive so that we can keep building these really integrated wealth experiences for clients. So I think that the advice is really stick to what you're good at.
Yeah, I love that notion of do well and serve well. Both in your function within your leadership function at Sequoia, but also as a trusted deliverer of good advice and planning to your clients. You can see that how that line goes all the way through and effectively starts with those relationships with those CPAs and custodians and wherever that referral may come from. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much. Brings us to the end of the program here. Really appreciate really getting to know you over the last year and a half, getting to know more about Sequoia, your business, and really appreciate you sharing what's going on there with the podcast today.
Dan, it was a pleasure. Thanks for the chance to be with you, and look forward to hearing you on future podcasts.
Sounds good. Talk soon, Chris.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for listening to the Grow Organically podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit Catchlight.ai, where you can access all our podcasts, including show notes and other resources to keep learning. This podcast was produced by Catchlight Insights LLC. It is for informational and educational purposes only. The content of this podcast does not constitute an offer or recommendation of any securities and is not intended to provide tax, legal, or investment advice. The views expressed are those of the speakers and not necessarily those of Catchlight or its affiliates, and are as of the date indicated, based on the information available at that time, and may change based on market or other conditions. Catchlight does not assume any duty to update any of the information. Catchlight and other third parties mentioned in the podcast are independent entities and not affiliated. Catchlight does not endorse any investment advisor or provide advice or recommendations to any prospective or existing client of an investment advisor as to the selection or retention of that investment advisor. This information is not intended for any person or entity in any jurisdiction where the distribution or use of such information would be contrary to local law. Third-party trademarks referenced herein are the property of their respective owners. All others are the property of Catchlight Insights LLC. Copyright 2025, Catchlight Insights LLC. All rights reserved.